Did you come in from New York? Were you just in New York?
Yeah, late flight last night. Stream the Knicks on the flight. Big dub.
God, you're a hardcore fan.
I'm a fan, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, I like a night flight.
I'll take a night. Yeah,
It's
night
kinda
flights
nice.
Yeah, I'll chill on a night flight.
Yeah.
And I like when they turn the cabin lights off, and you don't have to deal with the asshole who leaves the shade open during the
Yeah.
day, which I always hate and loathe.
I hate that. I've been flying. This is like my first flight in forever that wasn't delayed.
Yeah,
And it was still delayed like 20 minutes, but that's like
no, that's a win now.
We had a fucking incident coming back from. I did Miami Improv a couple months ago with my buddy Gary Veter, and we just it's like a 5-hour delay. I'm the idiot who booked Miami during hurricane season,
Yeah.
so I deserved it. But with like a 5-hour delay, 2 hours, we circled for 2 hours in the air.
Oh my God.
And there was this drunk lady on the flight, like just like screaming to her friend. Everyone like hated her. I was like, I hate this person, whatever. It's one of those flights. And then they're like, hey, we're not landing. We're out of fuel. So we're landing in Dulles, Virginia. So we're just like, oh, it's been like a 7-hour
Wow.
day. So we're like pissed. And then we're on the runway and she's just like on the phone, drunk as shit. Everyone hates her. And Gary and I just look at each other like, do we just drive back? Like, this is crazy. And I was like, all right, fuck, let's drive back. So we get off the flight. And as I got off the flight, I loudly said to her, it's very rude to talk that loudly on the phone. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And everyone like gave me like a thumbs up because I was like, I'm leaving anyway. I may as well take one for the team.
You
know?
did, dude.
I took one for the team.
Did you feel a little rise of panic as you're about to say it? Though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like confrontation, but I was like, I feel like I have to do something.
Yeah, there's a thrill to that. This is not at all the same thing, but I remember one time I did a yoga class with Bert, and we were in the class, and the guy teaching it was like a hard-nosed guy, like a really like a tough dude. Like he was more like a drill sergeant, which felt weird for yoga.
Yeah, it's not the energy you want.
It's not the energy you want. And then he starts telling a story about his son, him and his son somewhere, and it builds to nothing. Like it literally, he was like, and then, we went and there was nobody there. All right. And switched poses. And it was just dead silent. And there's like 30 people in class. And I just felt this like kind of, this like momentum building inside you. And I'm just laying in this position. I go, hey man. And he's like, excuse me? I go, hey, is that story over? And he's like, what? I go, is the story over? And he's like, yeah. I go, oh, it didn't really feel like it had an ending.
Oh my God.
And he was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, we tell stories so I can help you with that. And he's like, okay, just switch into the net. Like he just totally,
Wow.
But like
He knew.
I mean, and then Bert was looking at me. He's like, what are you doing? And I just couldn't help it.
Was Bert laughing while you were doing it?
I
or
think he was scared.
Yeah.
He said he was scared of
You
what was going to
heckled a
happen.
guy.
I heckled him, yeah. I was like, the
Damn.
fuck was that?
That was, I mean, I respect that.
I've seen the guy at the airport, and this one always like, because sometimes you want to say something, but you're too intimidated to, or you're like, it's the situation.
And you weigh, is it worth it?
Is it worth it? You weigh
Yeah.
it, yeah. And there was, line jumpers, like people like, or people distract. So like we're walking down the jet bridge, and somebody's like, yeah, and there was this guy. Now he was like 6'7", and he was like 245, like a big fuck. And this dude is behind me, and these people are like distracted, not moving. And he was like, eyes forward and walk forward. Like, and we all were like, yeah, that's what I'd want to say, but I would never say it, And everybody got scared, and they just started walking in formation. But it was one of those things where, I wanted to say that to them, but I was like, I'm not gonna fucking yell at these people. This guy was just like, go.
But usually guys that big are a little more like, I don't want to say meek, but they know that with that power comes a responsibility to kind of behave.
Even tempered, yeah.
Yeah.
But this guy was a hothead, dude.
That scares me. That there's a dude that big who's kind of, I don't want to say a bully, but.
I had one that bullied me one time on a flight.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, it had my stomach in knots. It was, I told the story before, but like, I think about this sometimes, where I'd clocked this guy at the gate. We were flying from Austin to Vegas, and I saw him at the gate, and he was huge, like 6'6", 295, and like muscular, and he was wearing shorts, flip flops, and like a sleeveless tee. So like a big fuck who doesn't care, you know. And he had the shaved head, and he just, you know, it's one of those guys you notice. And when I got on the plane, I have the aisle seat, and he goes, "Hey, could you mind sitting at the window back there so I could sit in the aisle?" And I go, "No,
That's a fucking bold.
Yeah, I go, "I'm not.
That's
doing
not a
that."
cool request.
And
you
goes,
trade evenly.
He's like, "All right." So then he asked the guy behind me, and that guy's like, "Sure." So he goes, "Thanks, man." He goes, "Thank you for your help. Thanks for being helpful." And I'm like, "Oh shit." So now this big fuck is sitting directly behind me, right? And he reaches in between us. So because the guy that moved is now to my left, and he goes, "You're a good guy. You're a cool guy." And he starts tapping him and telling him that. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, fuck. Like I got and this guy's behind me. And he first thing he does, the flight attendants come around, "Would you like something to drink?" He's like, "Double Jack and Coke."
Oh, good.
And I'm like, "Oh shit." And within seconds, he's like, "Excuse me, can I get one of these?" And they're like, "Oh, I just gave you that." He goes, "I'm 295. That's why I knew his weight. He's like, "I'm 295. And I was like, "Oh shit." And then so they're pumping him full of Double Jack and Cokes. And then he starts getting more like, you know, full of confidence.
Starts punching the seat.
Yeah, and he starts commanding the cabin. "What do you got?" "Oh, we're gonna have a good time in Vegas." "Yeah, we're gonna fucking hit the tables."
You're going to Vegas,
Bro. And I'm sitting here the whole time like, fuck, this guy is so crazy. He's like, and he keeps bringing up the thing to the guy. He's like, "That was real nice of you. You're a helpful guy." And I was like, "Oh shit." And then he starts talking about his NFL playing career.
Oh shit.
And I'm like,
it's Ray Lewis is behind you.
My God, shit. And he starts talking, and then he's like, yeah, I got real suicidal that year. I just wanted to kill myself." And I was like, this guy.
Can we go back to that year?
And I was like, fuck, this dude's gonna do something erratic on this flight. Jesus. And I just remember like my stomach was just like literally in knots because I was like, what is this guy just at?
You ruined your flight.
Yeah, it did. Just because I was like, no, I'm not moving, dude.
That sucks. I've told this one before too, but this is Gary Veter, who I tour with. Like, he's, you know, like we were open micers together. We go back like that, and we were leaving Columbus, Ohio once, and as we're leaving, there was a woman just berating the TSA agent at like, I don't know, 8 a.m. So we're like, it's kind of fucked up. Clearly, she was just trying to help, and this woman's just killing her. She's got 2 kids with her. She sucks. And Gary and I are like, at a certain point, we should step in, right? There's been like 2 minutes of her yelling at a person.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Hey, lady, like, enough." You know? She gets it. And she turned like, "This has nothing to do with you guys." And I was like, I mean, you're holding up the line, so it kind of does affect us now. And then Gary kind of stepped in. He goes, "Yeah, lady, you're a nobody." And that's when I was like, I fucking love Gary. You know? And she looks at Gary and she goes, "Well, you're short."
Oh,
he's like 5'6".
Yeah.
And Gary goes, "You should see me with my shirt off." And I was like, "Dude, what are you doing? We're professional comedians. We had her." And you're like, "What are you doing?" And it like woke us up like a jolt of coffee.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, how hard can we go in front of our kids? But we were like, we hate this person.
Yeah.
But then she went through like angry, and the lady like gave us like a nod. We're like, all right.
Yeah.
Bert and Tom, Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.